Is we're just going to mastermind. We're going to talk about whatever topics would be most helpful to you, most beneficial to you, most of value to you for the next 60, 59-ish minutes. So, that being said, let's get right into it so we don't lose any more time. My name is Ron, of course, with the Zamir Group, Keller Williams Town Life. You have some topics in front of you. Please choose one. Which topic would you be most interested in? Nabila, if you can, just unmute yourself and pick one. It doesn't have to be on this list. Same thing goes for Miss Halili.
So, let's start with conversion.
All right, we can do that. Should be good now. So there's different types of conversion. All right. There's conversion from receiving the contact to scheduling the appointment. There's conversion from getting a face-to-face, a buyer consultation, to showing homes. There's conversion from showing homes to submitting offers. There's conversion from submitting offers to getting accepted offers. There's conversion from getting accepted offers to all the way through the inspection, through the closing, and all that stuff. There's conversions from conducting an open house to getting open house leads to following up, and there's all kinds of different conversions. Of course, there's a lot of tools, a lot of scripts that we can use. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to read at the same time. Okay, which type of conversion specifically would you like to talk about? Because it's a pretty generic topic. What do you say, Isaiah? I can see you, but I can't. What type of conversion would you like to discuss today?
I'm sorry, I just hopped on here. Would you ask me, Ron?
Well, this is a mastermind. So we're going to talk about whatever you want to talk about, and everybody will kind of chip in and share their thoughts, share their experiences. That'll make everybody better. So the word conversion, the topic conversion, just came up. I asked that they just select one from the list, and we're going to discuss it. So there's different types of conversion, right? And if there's one particular type that you find most challenging or you'd like more information on, that's the one we can talk about. Is there one in particular that you were thinking, from this point to this point, I could use some improvements. I can work on that. I can have
Yes.
It'll benefit me to talk about that. Which
Yes.
one's that?
So I'm having trouble communicating to my buyers how they benefit from being in an exclusive buyers agency. Can you explain how it would benefit them?
Yes. So we're gonna skip a few things, and we're gonna put this slide in front of you. Now, there's a reason I put this slide in front of you when we're talking about exclusive buyers agency. Why? What does it cost to hire a buyer's agent in the state of New Jersey?
Nothing.
Nothing. What happened to my camera? Exactly. So since it costs nothing, well, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, would you like to hire an agent that's an amateur, or you like to hire an agent that's an expert? Which one would you prefer? And obviously, it's a rhetorical question. Why? Because, well, for the price of $0, why wouldn't you select to work with an expert compared to somebody that doesn't know what they're doing? Because obviously it's going to affect their conversion, affect their ability to arrive at the outcome they're looking for, which is to be in a particular home. And in today's crazy, strong, difficult, challenging, volatile seller's market, it is not easy to be a buyer. So choose your representation well, because it will affect your ability to obtain a home in 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, whatever their timeline happens to be. So let's go back to value proposition and how it affects their decision making when it comes to exclusive buyers agencies, right? So what our goal is to communicate as much value as possible, so it increases the likelihood they think one thing: I don't want to be working with anybody else. This is the right agent for me. and that's what we want them thinking, and then we can only do that if we communicate value. So how we get to the point where your closes, there's different ways to go about it. I typically like to put it at the end of my buyer consultations. That's just the best spot, I think, strategically to put it. Why? Because when I'm presenting the buyer's consultations, I'm having those strategy sessions, I'm having those discussions. They're all synonyms for each other. But when we're having those presentations, consultations, discussions, what are we doing throughout the presentation? We are communicating value. Now, there's a handful of value propositions that a buyer's agent can convey, can provide their buyers. Some of them are listed in front of you, right? Expertise and knowledge, that definitely does the job. And previewing homes before, especially, seeing a home before they do, yeah, that's a value proposition. And obtaining in multiple offer situations, definitely a value proposition in today's market. Over communication, negotiation skills, accommodating them, having a good vendor network, off-market homes / coming soons, / for sale runners / expireds, preparation, having the ability to guide them, having the ability to tell them what happens next, understanding the local market, all of value to our buyers. Here's the best part. You don't need to have an abundant amount of value proposition to communicate. One or two will typically do the job. And the majority of buyers tend to work with the first agent they meet face-to-face. That's why that face-to-face is so important. Let me let these people in. So when we're discussing exclusive buyer's agency, we're communicating value throughout our presentations. We're obtaining yeses throughout our presentations. And then we arrive at the very end where you're looking to see if you're a good fit to work together. And there are times where they're just going to be unrealistic after a discussion, and you may not want to necessarily ask for it, and you maybe find that you are a good fit to work together, and you definitely want to work together. Because in today's market, I will tell you that not every buyer is a good buyer to be working with right now. In today's environment, they have to be really serious if they're going to go house hunting. They really have to, be A buyers, because if they're just kind of thinking about it, you're going to get to see some homes out of it, so that'll benefit you, right? You'll see the inventory, yet the outcome you're looking for, which is to sell them a home, won't necessarily happen. So just be sure that you're pre-qualifying them, you're discovering what they're looking for, you're getting them on the same page by discussing the market conditions, making them aware, educating them, making them feel a lot more comfortable, a lot more confident, and ultimately, if they're good to go, then so are you. So not everybody is a good buyer in today's market, yet that doesn't mean that you can't go and ask for an exclusive buyer's agency. I'm going to stop right here because I can just talk. I don't want to talk too much. I want to get to the point that you really want to know more about. So Isaiah, when you say exclusive buyer's agency, what do you specifically want to focus more on?
I'm just having trouble communicating to them how it could benefit them, because obviously it benefits us. But if a buyer is being told that they need to sign something that only benefits the agent, I feel like it almost is counterintuitive. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it definitely there's many benefits in exclusive buyer's agency, especially if you're a good agent. You see, we deal with buyers that obviously they're different occupations, and it's just a simple script to help them discover the benefit of working with an expert is this. Isaiah, let's just say you're my buyer. Well, Mr. Mispah, you said you were a teacher, right?
Yes.
And let me ask you a question. Are all teachers the same, or are some teachers better than others?
Oh, some teachers are definitely better than others.
Yeah, and Isaiah, it's the same thing with real estate agents. Some agents are better than others, and I'm one of the better ones. So I'm glad that we're meeting today, because in a weak moment, I wouldn't want you to hire a weak agent. So you're using that short script. We're just increasing their awareness level that not all agents are equal. Because what is the public perception of a real estate agent? You say the word real estate agent. What is the public perception?
Commission breath. We're just money hungry.
Yeah, they're all the same, right? One is no better than the other. Yet, by asking them that simple question, it increases awareness level. Oh yeah, you know what? It makes sense that not all are the same. Now, if we went through our presentation, communicated value, at this point, they've already identified, well, this particular agent, this person is communicating a lot of value. I don't want to be working with anybody else. Now, if you get to the point where you're presenting the document, you're presenting the exclusive buyer's agency to them, and they're not agreeable to it. So now, likely, we haven't presented enough value to them. So now, this is where the objection handlers come into play. So when we get to the point, well, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, do you see how much value we can provide? And they'll say, yeah, you provided lots of value. Great. Well, in order for us to begin to work together, I just need you to sign this agent commitment letter. That's what I call it. And then we can go to work on getting you a home that's going to be perfect. It's going to be right, that you're going to enjoy for many years to come. And then if they say no, then we just haven't communicated enough value. And this is where the objection handlers come in. So we have to have those handy. You have to internalize those scripts. And at that point, you can tell them, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, this document, what it says is that I'm your agent. I'm going to take very good care of you, and you're the client. And we're going to go to work together. And they're like, well, we don't feel comfortable signing a document like this. We have to read it. We haven't seen it before. Well, Mr. Buyer, you see this line right here? It says it's only for 30 days. And honestly, if I can't find you what you're looking for in 30 days, I'm not doing my job right. And we have to sit down back together and review everything, because I must have missed something. So does that sound fair? And then they'll be like, no, we still don't want to sign anything. Well, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, if I don't do what I say what I do, you don't like how things are going, just let me know via text, email, phone number. I'll take this document, I'll rip it up, we'll shake hands, stay friends, go our separate ways. How does that sound? And they'll be like, yeah, okay. But if they say no, and then you can go to, there's different scripts. There's the engagement script. There's the married script. You can just tell them, you know what, I already scheduled 2 homes to go see. Why don't we go see those homes, call it a trial run. After that, if you like what you see, we'll go ahead and sign this document. If not, I'll go ahead, we'll go from there. How does that sound? Sounds fair? Great. And they'll say yes. So there's all kinds of different scripts that we can internalize that are considered objection handlers. Yet again, you don't need 10 of them. 1 or 2 usually does the job. The most important thing to know about exclusive buyers agencies is one thing in particular. It is that you need to ask for it, right? The majority of agents don't ask for it. That's why the majority of buyers don't sign it. You'll be pleasantly surprised that when you do ask for it, or when you do ask the client to commit to you, they do go ahead and sign it. So if you communicate just a handful of value propositions, not even too many, 1 or 2 will do the job. And if you ask for it, that's usually enough to have them sign it, to agree to that particular document, to commit to you, to work with you, to hire you. Sounds fair? Sounds good? Tie downs? Okay. What else? So we started talking about, by all means, that's a type of conversion, right? So when we're talking conversion from, listing presentation to signing exclusive buyers agency, that is a conversion. So how do we improve our conversion with exclusive buyers agencies? Obviously, internalizing our scripts and communicating value are the two key factors on that one. There's different types of conversion. When we say, from buyer consultation or to getting them to the buyer consultation, or improving our buyer consultation. How does improving our buyer consultation improve our conversion? How does it do that? What do you guys think? How does a very solid, it could be a listing presentation too, how does a solid listing presentation, or how does a solid buyer presentation help us with our conversion with obtaining, submitting offers, and how does it help us with conversion and obtaining offers, and how does it help us in conversion with getting them to the closing?
I feel like clients can feel when a professional they know what they're talking about, and when they don't. So when you have a strong consultation, it just shows that you've been through the process several times, you know what you're doing, and it makes them feel as if they're in good hands.
Yeah, and I love what you just said. I mean, because not everybody knows not all agents know the buying process alike. So if I, as an agent, don't know how to communicate don't know the buying process, can I communicate the buying process? And the answer is no. And if I don't know the market conditions, can I communicate the market conditions? The answer is no. So, by doing a little bit of prep work, a little bit of footwork, a little bit of self-development, personal development before the opportunity presents itself, even, which is getting to know the buying process, getting to know the market conditions, getting to know our objection handlers, getting better on a personal level, that'll help us with our conversion. And yes, if they identify that we are the experts, they are more likely going to work with us. And it's an easy value proposition. Just by saying these words, this is what happens next. I always like to say those are the most underused words in real estate by real estate agents. Just by saying that is a value proposition. How do I communicate that? Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I don't expect you to remember everything I just said, yet I will always tell you what happens next. Would that be helpful to you? I presented it and communicating it as a value proposition. So just by telling them, this is what, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, this is what happens next, that's of value to them. Why? What happens when we don't know what happens, even us included, what happens when we don't know what happens next?
Fear.
How do you feel? How do you feel? Yeah, you're frustrated. Yeah, you're anxious. You're distraught. You might be more inclined to get upset and angry. Well, we don't want buyers like that, do we? No, you want buyers that are less anxious. You want buyers that are, sorry, let me silence this. Put it on vibrate. Working? Okay. So, where was I? So our job is to make them less anxious, make them feel more comfortable, make them more confident by educating them, by telling them what happens next, of course. So, where was I? I lost my track. So that's what happens. The buyer consultation is a tool to get us to closing, right? So, how is the buyer consultation a tool to help us improve our conversion throughout the buying process? Yeah, let me go to the slide already. Hold on. I talk about this. Here we go. Buyer consultation, right? So how does it benefit us? Why do it? What makes it so important?
It helps people know what's like the process is and what your value proposition you have for them.
Yeah, and so the majority of agents don't do it. It's a fact. So by doing one, does it separate us from the rest? Does it make us a little bit better than the rest? Is it going a little bit above and beyond than the rest?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it definitely makes you better than 90% of the agents just by doing this. Just by conducting a presentation / consultation / discussion / whatever else you want to call it, it does make us better than the majority of the agents out there. So, okay, so what's preventing agents from doing it? Why don't agents do buyer consultations? If we say the majority of agents aren't doing buyer consultations, but yet it would benefit them, well, what's preventing them from doing it?
It takes work.
It takes work. What kind of work?
What do you mean, what kind of work?
Yeah, what kind of work? You say it takes work to do a buyer consultation. What kind of work?
I was just trying to make the point that most agents are lazy, so they're afraid of the hard, well, not even hard work, but
okay, so it takes time?
It takes time, yes. That's it.
Oh, okay, well, let me ask you a question. Does it take longer to do a 30 to 60 minute consultation, or does it take longer to show 30 to 60 homes?
It takes longer to show 30 to 60 homes.
Oh, okay, so if it takes longer to show 30 to 60 homes, then that's not completely true, that it takes too long, right? Obviously, if you don't conduct one,
Yes.
then it's going to cost you a lot more time, energy, and effort than really needs to be done. Now, what else? What else is preventing agents from conducting these consultations if it benefits us?
Maybe not knowing what to say in the consultation.
Oh, not knowing what to say. Okay, well, us as agents, do we not discuss the buying process with people every single day? And do we not discuss the market conditions with the public every single day? Do we not answer real estate related questions every single day?
Yes, we
And
do.
yet, that's exactly what a buyer consultation is structured like, right? So you just add in the needs analysis and you got yourself a buyer consultation. Now, the best part about this, you can't tell me you don't know what to say, because we talk about it every single day, and yet there is a very, very easy answer to why we should be doing it, even if you think you don't know what to say. You can't get this wrong. You cannot get a buyer consultation wrong. And the reason for that is because they don't know what you're supposed to say. The consumer, the person sitting across from you on a Zoom session or physically or whatever it may be, does not know what you're supposed to say. So you can't get it wrong. You see, if you forget to say something, are they going to know? No. You can talk about it later on, right? So that's also, it's not a good enough of a reason or an excuse to not be doing one. So what else? So what's another reason that maybe you guys can think of that an agent is not conducting buyer consultations, right? So we covered, oh, it takes too long, or they don't know what to say. Any other reasons you guys can think of that they can come up with? They're afraid not to lose the buyer. I see it in the chat. I can see that, but if a buyer is not willing to sit down and have value communicated to them, be educated, to feel a lot more comfortable, a lot more confident, is it really a buyer that you want to be working with? You know, so if, let's just say, theoretical, if I sent a questionnaire over to a buyer before meeting with them on a buyer consultation and they answered all those questions, is that a serious buyer compared to one
Yes.
that wouldn't? Yeah, of course. So again, in today's market, or consumers in general, in any market really, I don't know if you guys found this out yet or not, consumers in general, they have no problem wasting our time. They have no problem wasting our time. So via pre-qualification and education and discussion and communication, we're going to discover how much time, energy, and effort that we need to be spending, investing into these prospects, consumers, customers, clients, buyers, right? So it's really, really important to go through your system, whatever your system may look like. I imagine that it has a pre-qualification in it, and you are discovering exactly what they're looking for. And you go to the buyer consultation, and you're educating them about the buying process, and you're answering any questions they might have, and you're prepping them best you can for what's to come. And that will ultimately help us in our conversion. The last thing we want is to have, you know, 24 buyers, and none of them are really going to buy anything except for this one guy, but I can't focus on this one guy because everybody else is wasting my time. You want to focus on the ones that are really serious about buying, that are really serious about working with you, and the rest of them, maybe eventually they'll buy. We're going to treat everybody differently. We're not going to treat everybody the same. We're not going to be on top of a C buyer like we are on top of an A buyer or a B buyer. It's different. So, it just depends on, it depends on strategy. So it depends on strategy. You want me to expand on that, or you just want me to keep going about buyer consultation? I'll keep going on buyer consultation then. So when it comes to buyer consultation, there's a key benefit. The key benefit. Sorry, guys. So there's a key benefit, and that's it increases the likelihood they work with us and nobody else. That's the short version. The longer version, yes, it helps us build rapport, trust, loyalty, communicate, confidence, competence, expertise, all that fun stuff with the potential buyers. It allows us to set the expectation. This is like, it doesn't sound like much, but it is key. And it's such a huge thing when it comes to working with buyers. We want to set the expectations, because if we don't set their expectations, then they will set their own, and that's where surprises happen. So we definitely want to set their expectations of what's to come, what they should expect of us, what we should expect of them, and what's coming soon, right around the corner when buying a home. So we're going to educate them at the buying process. We're going to let them know that we are the ones that are going to take them to the finish line, to the achievement, to the accomplishment, to the outcome they're looking for, which is to enjoy a home for many years to come. And we're going to answer all the real estate related questions they have. And it's not on here, but we're going to handle as many objections as we can with our buyer consultations. All right, so 90% of our objections should be handled during our presentations so it doesn't become an issue later. What kind of objections are we talking about? What kind of objections can come up on in the process during the transaction?
Maybe for commission?
Yeah, buyers, you'll be surprised. They do not know how we get paid, a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they do not know how, and you might think that they would, but they do not. And so from time to time, it does come up. Hey, by the way, how do you get paid? And then we have to explain to them that we get paid by the seller. It costs them $0 to hire us as a buyer's agent, and we're going to take good care of them. So we have to explain that from time to time. Not everybody knows how we get paid. What else? What other objections come up throughout the process?
Unrealistic expectations as far as what they can afford and what they want.
Yeah. So there's a few different ways to handle those objections, of course. The best way is just communicating what's out there, and you can also do it visually. You can always sit them down in front of the MLS and say, hey, this is what you're looking for, and this is what's out there. We can obviously communicate and convey the environment that they're shopping a home in. So it's a very, very difficult environment to be in when a buyer, unless you're completely committed. If you're committed to buying a home and you're open to what we have to say, to all the preparation, all the expectations that we're setting, then you're more likely going to obtain quicker and sooner rather than later. Now, for those now, does that mean that all buyers, they listen to every word we say? We can set them up for success as well as we can. We can communicate to them until our face turns blue what the market conditions are like, and yet they still maybe don't believe us. They don't trust us when we say, hey, listen, you have to say you're purchasing as is. Hey, listen, you might have to waive the appraisal contingency or cap it up to the degree that we can in order to obtain here, and they don't believe us and they lose. And I call that learning the hard way. So yes, sometimes they need to learn the hard way, unfortunately. It just depends on the personalities that we deal with. We do deal with different personalities in this line of work. And it does happen sometimes that maybe they have to lose one or two in order to increase the likelihood that they actually obtain. So they trust us more and more. Obviously, the more and more we're right. So if we say one thing and it comes to fruition, they're more likely to trust us. Or it happens sometimes they get frustrated, more frustrated as their sense of urgency goes up. They definitely do get frustrated, and everybody has different sense of urgency. Everybody has different personalities, and that's really what we have to gauge. And we're gauging that with our pre-qualification and our needs analysis. So it's fun. What else? If they're not realistic, what else can we do? Us as agents, what are we supposed to be doing? What are we? We're not supposed to sell them a house. We're supposed to guide them, right? We're the navigators here. We're the guides. We're supposed to prepare them, lead them down to the path towards the goal that they're looking for. So sometimes that requires communicating strategy. All right. So what kind of strategies we can come up with? Just put it in the text. We could increase their amount, right? The amount that they're looking for. We can have a discussion around that. We can look at different areas. We can look at different products, but we have to communicate the different strategies to them if they're not very competitive. So if they don't, if they're not willing to compete, if they're not playing to win, like Hal Benz likes to say, then we have to kind of present to them the different strategies and have them select one, and then we're all on the same page. You want to get everybody on the same page. It's critical, or you just have dysfunction and anger and frustration and all that stuff, and we don't want our clients to feel that way, especially about us, right? So the more we can guide them, or the better we can guide them, the better it will be. I feel like that's a song. So what else?
So this might not be an objection, but just maybe something that complicates things. If you have buyers that are kind of slow to start, like if they find a house they really like, and then you explain, you have to try to put the offer in as soon as possible. And then they're kind of like, well, it'll be fine, and then the opportunity passes them by, of course. So that might be a challenge, I guess, maybe not, an objection.
Yeah, I call it a learning lesson. So I trust we're going to convey to them what the environment is like, and homes, they're there 1 second and they're gone the next. And if there's a home that they like, the rule of thumb is that 10 other people like it too. So they have to work quickly, or else it's going to be gone, and we're going to have to go to the next one. So I call it a learning lesson, because then all of a sudden they realize, oh, we better be moving quickly the next time, or else the next house we like will disappear just as quick. So it's also kind of learning the hard way too. And you're right. I mean, we deal with different personalities, and some are just more laid back than others. And even the laid back ones, they learn real quick in today's market of what things look like. So the next time they'll be fine. They'll be more prepared. What other objections do we come up with? What kind of issues, challenges do we come up with throughout the transaction that we can maybe handle during the consultations?
Accepted offers.
Get offers accepted. So it's definitely a challenge, depending on the different moving parts, the different factors. Yeah, I mean, let's talk about getting it from offer submitted to offer accepted. How do we improve our conversion via the consultation to improve our conversion from submitting offer to getting an accepted offer? It goes back to what Ann just mentioned. It goes back to what Isaiah said. It's about preparing them. It's about educating them. It's about communicating to them what the environment, what the market conditions are like, what the competition is like, and what to expect. So if we are discussing the market conditions during our consultations, and they get a good handle of what they're about to walk into, it does help us improve our conversion from submitting an offer to getting an accepted offer. You can't just, I'll give you an example. You can't just approach a buyer and say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, the deadline is today at 5 o'clock. It's 4:34 right now. In order to strengthen our offer, let's tell them we're going to purchase as is. Let's tell them we're going to waive the appraisal. Let's tell them we'll be flexible to their closing date. Let's tell them we'll do a lease back. Let's tell them. How does the buyer feel? We didn't give them any explanation. Do they know what it means to buy a house when they say as is with the exception of environmental, structural, health issues? Do they know what it means to waive an appraisal condition? Do they know what a lease back is? They don't know. You can't just lay it on them right before a deadline. If you are looking to improve your conversion, you also have that discussion about how to strengthen an offer, right? So if we are preparing them and we are having a discussion about how to strengthen an offer before the opportunity presents itself, will it improve our conversion from offer submitted to offer accepted? And the answer is clearly yes, of course it will. So that's a very good way, very solid way to help improve our conversion in getting and obtaining accepted offers. Now, I will tell you this, even if we did all that, even if we explained to them, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, this is what it means when we say we're going to purchase an as-is condition with the exception of yada, yada, yada. This is what it means when we have the appraisal condition. This is what it means to do a leaseback. This is what it means for this, or that. We can educate them, yet many times you may still lose. What's some causes? What's some, I guess, circumstances that may still cause you to lose?
Not competing.
The buyers went to their max. They couldn't go higher. Somebody else did, right? They already went 5%, 10% above asking, and they're not willing to go higher, and somebody else did. And sometimes we approach them and say, hey, listen, there's X amount of offers. They're like, this is too crazy. Let's go next. So there's different outside factors that are not in our control that may say, okay, we submitted an offer we weren't able to obtain. We have no control over those things, right? Because we're only going to give it our best shot, put our best foot forward. We're going to prepare them best we can. We're going to obtain as much information as we can to communicate back to them so they can make a good real estate decision. We're going to do all that stuff. Yet ultimately, sometimes, it's out of our control too. So we're still going to submit offers. Obviously, it's a numbers game. The more offers you submit, the more likely you are to get one accepted. Now, the more prepared they are, the more likely you are to get one accepted. The better agent you are, the more likely they will get one accepted. How does skill set affect your conversion? How does your skill set as an agent affect conversion? How does expertise affect conversion? How does relationship with agents affect the conversion? How does your knowledge about the local market affect conversion? How does all that affect conversion? How does it improve or lower conversion?
Well, it strengthens it a lot. You mentioned relationships with other agents and expertise. If you just call the listing agent and ask, what is your client looking for, then that already makes your offer a lot stronger.
Yeah, and just by doing that, you're better than 90% of the agents also. Well, what makes me say that? Well, we have a lot of listings, and we have a lot of multiple offers. And I will share with you that the ratio for offers submitted to agents that actually call and ask questions is about 1 out of 10.
Wow.
For every 10 offers we receive, it's usually about one agent that calls to ask questions. Any question. 1 question, 10 questions, whatever. If you want to be a better agent, all you have to do is pick up the phone. You'll be better. You're already better than 90% of the agents. That's it. That simple thing is of value to our clients. Now, those other 9 out of 10 agents that don't do it, are they promoting their client's best interest?
No.
Yeah, I would argue also that they are not doing it. So how do we improve conversion? By obtaining information. Of course, we communicate it back to our clients. Hey, Mr. and Ms. Buyer, this is what I discovered. This is all the information you're going to need to make a good real estate decision. The information ranges depending on the agent. Some agents give you a wealth of information. Some agents give you no information. Yet if you don't ask, you will not get. Right? So if I don't ask a question, I will not get an answer. But if I ask a question, I might get an answer. So I always say do it over the phone, because text, email, it gives them time to think, respond. You want them on the phone, because when somebody's on the phone, they don't have time to think. They have to answer you right then and there. So they're more likely to give you the honest truth. That's why you want them on the phone. What kind of questions are we asking? It's a simple question. When the seller would like to close, when is the seller's preferred closing date? It's a simple question, yet I will tell you that if you put it on your offer, it will strengthen your offer, right? So if you don't just put 30 days, don't just put 30 days, because a lot of sellers don't know where they're going. It might actually weaken your offer, right? So we want to ask when the seller's preferred closing date is. What are the questions are we asking these agents in order to help us obtain in these multiple offer situations? What kind of questions do you guys think?
What terms are they looking for? Like, do they want the appraisal contingency waived? Do they want I don't know the wording, but structural and environmental in the inspection?
Yeah, and I'll simplify it. Other than price, what's important to the seller, right? And they may tell you, well, they don't want to deal with anything that has to do with inspections. They just want to sell it as is. I'm like, okay, great. And you know what? They're really concerned about the appraisal, because we have so many offers going. So that's really important to them. And you know what? They need to sell in order to buy. They need a really patient buyer. That's when you can release back. So you're discovering via questions what's important to the seller, how you can strengthen the offer, because the name of the game is not highest offer. The name of the game is strength of offer. The strongest offer will win, not the highest, right? And you can tell me, well, what about cash offers? Well, if a cash offer is $30,000 below one with a mortgage, they're not taking the cash offer. It's still about strongest offer, right? So if you have a somebody that's obtaining a mortgage, but they're waiving their appraisal contingency and the cash is 20,000 below, they're not taking the cash offer. It's not about cash offers. It's not about highest offer. It's about strongest offer. And that's where we come in. Why? Let's just take it from the listing agent perspective. Just a simple question. Does the listing agent have any sway over the seller's decision making? Yeah, I would say they do. So what the listing agent is proposing or recommending they take will more than likely be chosen. So that's where relationship with agent, that's where connection, even if you don't have a relationship with agent, helps, right? They get to know you a little bit over the phone. That helps too. You chat a little bit. They know you a little bit better than the other agents that are submitting offers. It always helps. You want to obtain as much information, communicate it back to your buyers. It will help us strengthen our offers. It will help us obtain, and you never know. There are some listing agents that when you ask them, tell me more, tell them, what's important to seller, and you just zip it, they will tell you not only their life story, the seller's life story, how many offers they have, where you need to be in order to obtain, they'll tell you everything. So, and some agents are like that, and some agents won't give you any information. It just depends what personalities you're dealing with. And sometimes we can't choose. Yet, if you don't pick up the phone and don't ask the question, you will not get the answers. Yet, if you do, you will be pleasantly surprised as to what information you can go and take back to your client. So, again, simplifying, just pick up the phone. It will help you improve the conversion. What else? What else can help us improve conversions from submitting offer to accepted offer? Now we're talking multiple offer situations, of course, right? Does anybody have any questions about anything I just said about any of that? Because some agents may not know what the word usage is, or what I mean by that when I say, buyer to ... purchase and as is conditioned with the exception of, and I always write environmental, structural, and health. I added the health recently because the attorneys, they told me to. So a lot of attorneys are going back and forth on what's health, what's environmental. So in order to avoid that, I just added that last word in there. You can also add mechanical, of course. So do our buyers know what that means? No, our buyers don't know what that means. Obviously, environmental, it covers a lot of things. It covers abandoned oil tanks and termites. Again, that's one of those things. It's environmental / health. Is there any structural damage from the termite damage? Is there any asbestos? Again, that's they've been arguing lately on a few deals. Is it environmental or health? On the asbestos on the piping, on the 9x9 tiles on the floor, sometimes in the ceiling, and lead paint in the windows, which is less of an issue with the. And then, of course, you have some areas that have septic and well and radon, and all these items are considered environmental issues. It includes a lot structural. If there is a crack in the foundation so big you can see daylight through it, and if there's a compromised load-bearing beam for some reason, those are structural issues, right? And health issues, like it's a lot of homes that have like mice droppings and stuff like that, or squirrels in the attic, or I don't know, whatever. So you wanna cover the bases, and it covers a lot. And they have to know that in a competitive environment, there are buyers that are not just saying as is. There's some buyers that are saying, I'm waiving my inspection contingency completely. And those are two very different things. Actually, I don't recommend waiving. Go ahead, Isaiah.
Can you explain the difference, please? Because I don't know what the difference is.
I was about to, yeah. So it's waiving your inspection contingency and saying I'm buying as is are two different things. Waiving your inspection contingency is really for builders that are going to knock the house down. They don't care about the inspection. That's why I don't recommend it unless it's super crazy and you just don't care what comes up, and you took a good look at the house, and you didn't see any major issues, and you say, okay, worst case scenario, I'm gonna have to fix $2,000-3,000 worth of stuff, $5,000 if let's just say the furnace goes, whatever. So waiving your inspection contingency means you lose that protection. Saying I'm buying as is with the exception of, you still have your inspection contingency. You can still come back and request from seller to address this, or that if it's a concern. And that's where the major difference is, right? So even though you say as is, the buyer can still come back after they get their inspection report, and they can say, items 1, 2, 3 are of concern, please address. And the seller, of course, will respond by either saying, yes, I'll address it. No, I won't address it. I'll give you a credit, or it's a plain out no. And it does happen from time to time that even when you buy it as is, you know, they're still negotiating something because something came up and it was kind of important, right? You know, who knows? Maybe yeah, there was termite damage, or you know, the roof was leaking, or you know, something like that. Those are considered material items. So I get a lot of questions about appraisals too. So when it comes to strengthening our offers, a lot of buyers are either waiving their appraisal contingency or capping it. And so a lot of agents, the follow-up question is, well, what do you mean by capping it? Because waiving appraisal contingency, I'm going to stop right there, actually. I need to explain that too. I'm not waiving the appraisal. The appraisal still needs to happen if you're obtaining a mortgage. The lender is still going to order the appraisal. You can't waive the appraisal. You're still going to have an appraisal. You're waiving your appraisal contingency. Those, again, two different things, right? Waiving the appraisal contingency, we are basically communicating to the other party, the sellers, if there's an appraisal issue, we're still moving forward. That's what we're communicating. So we can waive the appraisal contingency, or we can cap it. We can max it at a particular number. How do we do it? I just simply use the words buyer waiving appraisal contingency up to number. Insert number here. So let's just say theoretically $500,000 house, listed for 500, sales price is 550. You know, you went way over asking, went 10% above asking. There is going to be an appraisal concern on this one. Buyer is saying buyer to waive appraisal contingency up to 530,000. So they're not waiving it completely; they're waiving it up to a certain number. Right, so if there's a $20,000, if there's an issue within that $20,000 gap, they will cover. They will find a solution and they will move forward. If there's an appraisal issue below that number, they expect the seller to address the difference between that 530 and what the appraisal number is. Got it? Okay. Now we can actually take that conversation a little bit deeper. Yet that's up to you guys. This is your hour, and you've got about 12 minutes left. So you tell me what you want to talk about.
I have a question.
Sure.
So if you have a buyer that really, really wants the house, and I know it's very competitive right now, and they agree to waive the inspection,
Mm-hmm.
and they say that strengthens their offer. But as the agent, you were saying, I would prefer that you not waive it, right? But they really are just set on it. Is that risky for the agent as well? Because could they say sue the agent because they're not, you know, they're not like watching out for their client totally by allowing them to do that?
Well, you're going to make the recommendation not to waive the inspection contingency. And if they if they want to go ahead and do it anyway, just make sure you have it in writing.
Oh, okay. So if you advise them otherwise and they say, well, I'm going to do it anyway, you say,
Yeah,
okay,
that's fine. Yeah, but we educated them as to what that means. You know, we had that discussion.
Yeah.
So, you know, most communications nowadays are in text or email. So it's, you know, you should have something written down somewhere via conversation. Like right before you submit an offer, you can say, okay, you know, based on our discussion, this is how you'd like to submit the offer. You know, and then just spell it out. I mean, you're going to advise them best you can, and ultimately they're going to make a decision, right? So that's what we are. We're going to present all the options to them, and they're going to choose the path. I like to use the analogy that they're the drivers, we're the navigation systems. You know, we'll tell them which way to go, yet ultimately they can choose to skip a turn, and we'll just decide to you know, reroute. All right, so we'll navigate them, we'll guide them, yet ultimately they're the drivers. They get to choose.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. What else? What would be helpful to you guys? What's something you were thinking about recently?
I have a question. How do
Yeah,
you
of
feel about
course.
the escalation clause?
Me personally, I don't like them too much. I've used them in the past. I've won with them before. Yet in today's, it really depends on the scenario. Like, I say use them if you have no idea. Like usually when you have no idea like what somebody's going to pay for this house, then it might be a good tool to use. Yet there are times that you don't want to be using them. Now those times they include, sometimes the agents or the sellers don't want you to use them. So by using them, you're actually weakening your offer, and they won't pay attention to your offer as much. There's also times where if you know you're competing against a cash offer, an escalation clause with $1,000 over the highest offer is not going to help you. Even $5,000 over the highest offer is not going to help you. So that's not going to benefit you or the client if you know that there's cash offers involved and they're very, very high. So there's certain times you don't want to be using them. Yet, the escalation clause is a good tool which is rarely used in real estate. It's not a tool that's used that often. It's seldomly used. Yet if you just say, things are so crazy, I have no idea where this is going, that might be a good time to use it. You might just ask for permission, not ask for permission, but just ask the listing agent if they're okay with it. Because there are many, many agents that they don't want to see them. They don't like them. They don't want them. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, and the word usage that you use, obviously it varies depending on the agent. You're going to communicate it. You can via email for sure when you're submitting the offer. Many agents, if you are going to use them, they want to see it under additional terms. They also want to see the other terms, by the way, under additional terms, which is page 13, item 43 on your offers. So if you're saying buyer to purchase and as its condition with the exception of, or your buyer to waive appraisal contingency up to, or whatever it is that you're using to strengthen your offer, many listing agents, they actually want to see it under additional terms. The brokers don't like it. They don't want us practicing law without a license, so to speak, by inserting legal clauses in an offer. Yet I will tell you that on the ground, in reality, the listing agents want to see it in there. So it's just one of those things that kind of go against what you're supposed to be doing. Yet if you don't do it, then you're not going to get your offer accepted. So, and then of course the attorneys go ahead and change everything anyway. So it doesn't really matter. Not really. Oh, that's another thing. That's a good tip too. When you're coming to agreement on different things, and it could be leasebacks, and it can be as is, or it could be, waiving this or waiving that, or whatever it may be, you have to get the attorneys on the same page. So when you obtain the executed agreement and you came to an agreement on certain terms, just make sure you communicate that to the attorneys when you're sending them the executed agreement, so you have everybody on the same page. Last thing you want is to get an attorney review. Now all of a sudden the attorney changes the terms in the rider, and now you are more than likely going to have a deal canceled on you because you said one thing and something else happened, and we don't want that. Obviously, we worked so hard to get this together, to make this happen, and it could fall out very, very easily if we just don't get everybody on the same page. So just get everybody the information they need so that it moves forward in the smoothest way possible. All right. Any last comments, words, questions?
I have a
Thoughts?
question.
Sure.
I know you mentioned this already, but can you repeat what we should ask the listing agent before formulating an offer?
Yeah. So how many offers you got is a good question. Unless it doesn't matter, where it's just going crazy. If you have a listing agent that is going to limit the amount of questions you ask, where they're just not going to answer anything, just so get straight to the point. So, where do I need to be in order to obtain? What needs to happen for us to work together? There's different ways that you can phrase the question. Ultimately, if you're going straight to the point, let's just say theoretically it's a $600,000 home. You know that there's offers over 630. Just get straight to the point. You don't have to ask them if there's offers above asking. If there's multiple offers, it's above asking. It's a waste of a question. Get straight to the point. Ask them, are there any offers above 630? And they might tell you, they might not. What I will share with you is that a lot of agents, even if they don't tell you, they hint. And whether they do it intentionally or unintentionally, they still give you hints. Because if you can read between the lines, there's a lot of information that's communicated via tone and obviously body language too. But via tonality, there's a lot of information that's being communicated. The question is, can you read between the lines? So sometimes they do it intentionally, sometimes they do it unintentionally because they don't want to give the information, yet they actually do. So just asking some questions will help you obtain the answers. Obviously, go back to the simple question, when is your seller's preferred closing date? Is there anything else that's important to the seller other than price? Those are all pretty important questions to ask.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And the more information we obtain, the more you look like a rock star in front of your buyers, so they can make a good real estate decision. Anyone else? All right. All right, guys. So we are towards the end of the call, and I want to thank everybody for being here. As always, you guys were great. Participation was amazing. You can also reach out to me whenever you like. If you forgot to ask a question, something you wanted to discuss, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always available to you. And I will see you next week, Thursday at 4 o'clock. I forget the topic, but that one's a scheduled topic. I just forget which one we were going to talk about, but we'll see you next Thursday at 4 o'clock, and we'll go from there. All right, guys. Thanks again. Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you.